if you woke up today and realized, oh dear, I'm a human, I have to eat in order to survive, you know the pain of having to do chores like meal planning, groceries, and recipes. So you can download this template. It is free. Please donate if you want to. The cost of a can of tomatoes, or I don't know what that is nowadays, it's about 20 bucks. Don't donate that much. So if you go and download it, that's all cool, but I recommend sticking around and watching this video just so you understand how the databases work together. But if you want to learn how to make this from scratch, then I'm going to be showing you how to do that. All right, let's get straight into it. So here is how to do a meal planner, groceries, and recipes page in Notion. Now, I'll just start off with a game plan. We're going to want 4 databases. We want a meal planner one, we want a recipes database, we want a groceries database, and we'll also do a household items database, just to have it in the same place as the groceries, because you're most likely buying both at the same time. Now, the meal planner database will be connecting to the recipes database, so we'll start by doing that one. We'll do /database, then in here we'll create a new database, and I'll call it recipes. I'm just going to go up to the top here, click on these 3 dots and click full width. Now, if you're like me, most likely you're going to want to see your recipes not in a list view, but in a gallery view. So we're going to click on these 3 dots here. We're going to change the layout to a gallery. And then we will change the card size from medium to small. Most likely you'll have a ton of recipes in here. Hopefully over time you'll start building it up, so we don't want it too large. Now in here you can change if you want the image to come from the page content or from the page cover. And because these recipes are going to have a place where we can actually write the step-by-step breakdown of the recipe, we're going to want to have it coming from the page cover. So I'll just change it to that. Now there's a few other components that I want to change in here. One is I want to categorize my recipes by a few different types. Obviously I don't know what you eat, but it can be nice to sort them by different categories. We'll just click on this empty item here and just do creamy pasta. Now when you create a database, it automatically creates this multi-select field. I think that's a standard Notion setting, which is actually quite helpful in this scenario because we're going to want a multi-select field. But just in case it doesn't, I'm going to show you how to do that very quickly. You're just going to click on add property, and then we're going to go to multi-select. The reason we're doing a multi-select and not a single select is because sometimes your recipe will fall into multiple categories. So you might have a category being like vegan recipes, or you might want to search by good lunch meals.
Workplace transformations fail. And what's at the heart of it? After losing a team, not only recreate the success we enjoyed with...
He's eating a hot dog.
What?
You can see it from here.
You can't skip lunch.
Or you might have another way of categorizing it. So just for the time being, I'm going to write type 1 to... So I've just got type 1 to 5 here. So just to show you how this works and how we can sort by category, I'm going to create 5 recipes and then have each of those recipes with one of these types. I have 5 recipes, very creative, and they all have one of the different types. I'm going to go up to gallery here, right click that and rename. I'll just name this the same category name as you have. So for me, it's just type 1. Now we're going to go to filter, then we're going to add advanced filter. And what we want to see is only the things that are also a type 1. So we're going to click on multi-select, contains type 1. Now, as you can see, the others are no longer visible here. Now, because we've created this filter, when I duplicate this view, we'll be able to actually keep that filter and then just change the rule. So I'll just show you how that works. We'll right click on type 1, duplicate, change to type 2. And now we'll change this filter here where instead of containing type 1, it contains type 2. So now we're seeing all the recipes with type 2 in it. And now I'll do that for the rest of them. Okay, we have these 5 categories now. So now we have these 5 categories and we can sort the recipes by these categories. Now I'll quickly show you how to change these icons. If you right click on this, do rename, you can actually click here next to the name and change it to the icon. So if you have breakfast stuff here, I'll write breakfast and just take an egg, I guess. Type 2, do the same thing. I don't know what your categories are. We'll just do an apple. I'll now just show you how to add a cover image for these. So we'll click on this, go up here, add cover, change cover, and then you have 3 options. You can either upload an image. So say if you've taken a photo of the meal you made, you can upload that and then have that as the cover image. You can either get a link from online, or you can just search on Unsplash and then have kind of a more generic photo. So I'm just going to write pasta. I'm going to be lazy with this one. So this is actually a good example. You can see how the image here actually cuts off really weirdly. What we can do is just hover over it, go to reposition, and then you can drag it. That way the image will actually fit the space. So I'll quickly go through this and do this for the other recipes. Okay, we have our 5 recipes in here. Now that we have the recipes database, we're going to create the meal planner one. We will come back to recipes and I'll show you some more details in here, like creating a template where we can have a step-by-step process on how to cook the meal. So here I'm just going to do / database, create a table view. Now there's a few different ways that we could do a meal planner here. I typically recommend doing a calendar, but in this case, I actually recommend doing a table. So I'll show you how to set this up. Here we'll write the different meals. Now we can delete this column here. And what we're going to do is create relations in these columns to the recipes database. So we'll click on plus, scroll down here until you get to relation, click on that. Now what we want to do is relate to the recipes database. So you can see here it's in my recent, so I'll click on that. And then on here, make sure it's no limit. No limit. And you don't have to show it on recipes. There's no reason to. And then we'll add relation. Now, what we're going to do with this one is rename it to Monday. There's no limit, baby. Now we'll do the same thing for the rest of the days of the week. A cool thing in Notion is you can have multiple relations to the exact same database. Now that I've set that up, I'll show you how easy it is to use. Let's say it's Sunday and you're going to plan out for the week. Literally just click on the cell that you want to add a meal to, and then you'll get your entire database of all of the recipes. And once you start adding to your recipes database, you might have 50 or 100 recipes in here or whatever, so you can just search. So let's say I want ramen, just search for ramen, and you can see that it comes up. So I'll click on that. And now you can see on Monday for lunch, we have ramen. Now the reason we have this icon here is because it's seeing that on this ramen one is because there isn't an icon added here. So once we add this, I'll just show you how that works. As you can see, it automatically updates. So if I'll just add pizza, then you can see here, the pizza icon here is the pizza icon here. So once you change that, it will change there. But instead of having to do this manually, later in the video when I show you how to create the templates for the recipes database, I'll show you how to make this a one-time thing so you don't have to keep doing it. So I'll just go through and change all of these icons so they have something. But again, after we've changed that setting, you only have to do that once. So now, just to show the example, I'll click here, add a bunch of recipes throughout the thing. This is how you'll plan out your week. And then when you're done with the week, all you do, highlight, delete, and there you go. Then you can start fresh. So it's a really easy way to do meal planning throughout the week. Now, let's say you had ramen here on Monday for lunch, and you're standing in the kitchen and you're about to make your ramen, and you want to know, how do I actually make my ramen? Instead of then going through this recipes database and trying to find the ramen entry, you can just click on here and click on that, and it will open it up. And then here you'll have your recipe for easy access. So now what we're going to do is create the groceries database. So I'll show you how to do that. Just going to do / database, create a new table, call it groceries. So we're going to also want to view this as a gallery. However, you don't have to have images for these if you don't want to. I'll click on these 3 dots, change the layout from table to gallery. If you do want to have images, so when you're looking through this and you see a picture of milk, it's very quickly to just add milk, then that's fine. If you don't, so I personally am too lazy to add an image to every single grocery item, because obviously you'll have a ton of different grocery items. If you can't bother doing that, then all you'll do is change the card preview from, instead of having page content, just to none. Now, before we create a bunch of different categories, what I'll do is design this in one category to the way that I like the design, and then we can just duplicate those views. So let's have this as category 1, which I'll do as protein. Obviously, call this whatever you want. You can sort it in any way you want. I'm pretty lazy. I just have the 4 categories of protein, carbs, veggies, and staples. And I'll add one called tofu. And then this default multi-select that's created, we can actually leave that there. And I'm going to write here protein. Then underneath this, we're going to add property, and this property will be a checkbox. It will write by. Now you only need these 2 things. So we'll click away, and we're going to change one quick thing. We're going to click on these 3 dots. I'm going to change the view from card size medium, just a small. We probably don't need them that large. And then I'm going to change here the properties to show this one. We want to see by. So when I'm scrolling, I can see tofu and just click by, so it's added to my list, which I'll show you later how that works. So now I'll add some other items. Let's do bread, and then this will be in carbs, and I will add broccoli, and I'll add milk, which will be in staples. So now we'll do the same thing as we did up here. We're going to create a filter, add advanced filter, and in this protein table view, we only want to see things that have the tag protein.
First thing you're going to want to do is put in a scoop of protein. Then you're going to add some protein. Now what I like to do, just for a little bit of taste, is add some protein.
So now we'll duplicate, do the same thing for carbs, and then change the filter here from contains protein, tick that away, change it to carbs, do the same thing for the next one. Now, just to better show how all of this plays together, I'm just going to add a bunch of grocery items. Now in this, we're going to create one more view, and that will actually have all of these grocery items, but they will be in groups. So let's just right click, duplicate all groceries. This will almost work like an online shop. We're going to click on filter, and we're just going to delete the filter. We want to see everything. And then we're going to click on these three dots here, and we're going to click on group. And what we want to do is we want to group them by these individual tags. So we'll click on tags. So this is another way that you could view it. If you have images here, it will act very similar to an online shop where you're scrolling and you can just see the products and you can quickly add them like that to the list. Okay, but this isn't a very nice shopping list. It's not very nice to navigate. I totally get that. So what we're going to do is create a shopping list. So let's just scroll up here to the top, and I'm going to create a page here. Do / page, and in this page we will call it shopping. Now, as I mentioned earlier in this video, you can view the same database on a different page, and that's what we want to do here. We want to view this groceries database on this page, but view it with different filters. So we're going to do / database table view, and now I want to select a data source. So I want to select an existing database. So the one that I have is called groceries, and it's actually here in my recents. So I'll just click on that, and now here you can see the shopping list. Viewing it like this though is kind of annoying. What we want to see is instead just a list, hence it's called a shopping list. So we're going to change the layout from a gallery just to a table. Then we're going to go down to group, and we're just going to remove grouping. Now later on, I will actually be making another view in this shopping list that is sorted by groups, and I'll show you why later on. Now in this view, you'll most likely be viewing this on your phone, unless you're bringing a computer with you when you go shopping. So we're going to click on these three dots, click on layout, hide, database, title. We just want to make this as simple as possible. We're then going to click on here, drag that here, and then drag it to the side. Now, obviously we don't want to see stuff that hasn't been checked in to buy. So now we're going to create a filter here, add advanced filter, where buy is checked. So now we're only seeing the stuff that's been checked in to buy. Now, when you're on the shopping list, you might not need to see stuff sorted by veggies, staples, carbs, proteins, blah, blah, blah. Then that might not be very useful to you. But you don't want to remove that from this database. Bear in mind, any changes you make to the properties settings in this database will impact the other database as well. These are the same databases. All we want to do is change the views in the different ones. So I'll go back to shopping here, and instead of seeing veggies, staples, carbs, and proteins in here, I'm going to right click on this, and you do not want to do delete property, or it will delete it from the other page as well. All you want to do is hide in view. So all you're doing is in this list here, which we'll rename just to shopping list. In this list here, you do not have to see that information. So now when you walk into the store, you have a super easy shopping list here. And once you've picked up the broccoli, you just unclick it and then it gets removed from this. So it's a super easy way to work when you're in the store. So I did mention before that we might want to have this grouped, but what would we want to group it by? Well, I'll go back to the other database, and what we'll do is we'll click on an item and we'll add a property here. And this property will be a select, and we'll call it shop. Now, if you're like me and you want to save $1 or $2, you know which stores to buy which items in.
Would you like to feed your family of 4 for under $10? All you need is one of these and one of these.
So let's say this you want to buy in shop 1 because tofu is always cheapest in shop 1. This one is in shop 2, chicken, shop 3, and a few of these might not have a shop associated with it. So let's say rice, you can buy that in any store. That means you don't have to tick in a specific shop. You can just leave that blank. So we'll scroll back here and go to shopping. Now we'll duplicate this, shops. Now in this table view here, we're going to go to the 3 dots and we're going to go to group again, and we're going to group it by shop. So now when you walk into shop 1, you have all of your items that are in for shop 1. We go into shop 2, you have all of your items that you want to buy in shop 2, and you can also check the no shop. So no shop should probably be at the top, just so we don't miss anything when we're in shop 1. So to have that at the top, we'll go back to these 3 dots, we'll go to the group, and then here we can drag these around, so we'll have no shop at the top. And then we can just close this. Now you have an even easier way of walking into a store and knowing everything you have to buy. This will save you an immense amount of time and make chores a lot easier. So let's go back. Now, before we get to the household items, let's talk about the templates for the recipes that I mentioned earlier. To create a template here, all we're going to do is go up to this arrow here, click on that and create new template. Now, what we can do is we can actually set this template we're creating as a default. So anytime you add a new item, this will be the default that's created. So I'm just going to add an icon that I want every single time to be the icon. I'm going to have this gray circle. I'll just write new. And then in here, you can add the directions for cooking. Now I know what you're thinking. How am I meant to know which ingredients are in this? There's two ways of doing this, and I wanted to do this at the end, just because I often see Notion databases and stuff get very overly complicated, which then results in people not using it. You might just want to write ingredients here, then you would start typing them out just as dot points or something. Or what we can do is create a relation to the groceries database. Now, if you feel like that will get overwhelming and it's going to be a lot of effort to do this, then don't do it. It's more important that you have a very practical space to do your meal planning and recipes and not feel like you have to go through and connect a billion different things every time you add in a new recipe. But I will show you how to do the relation because I know some of you will want that and that's totally cool. So now when I click away, what we're going to want to do is click back up here, and this new we're going to want as the default. So I'm going to click on these three dots and then do set as default. And then we're going to do for view for all views in recipes. That way we're not only getting that recipe for when I'm in type 1, but when I'm working in any single one of these categories. So now you'll see when I hit new here, automatically wrote new, automatically adds this icon. It's added type 1 because I'm in the type 1 view, and it's automatically added all of this stuff that we put in before. So then I can start writing the directions. Make the food. Okay, let's talk about the relation from the recipes to the groceries. So we'll just click on creamy pasta, and I will add a property, and we will want this to be a relation. And then we're going to select the groceries database. So you can search it in here if it's not coming up. For me, it's coming up in the recents. So if you want, you can show this on groceries. So when you're clicking on this pasta entry down here, this creamy pasta recipe will actually come up. So what we can do is click on this show on groceries. That means when you click on pasta down here, you'll actually see a list of every single recipe that has pasta connected to it. And now we'll do add relation. So for creamy pasta, we need a few different things. We need pasta, we need cream, and we'll leave it for that. Very basic.
Would you like to feed your family of 4 for under $10? All you need is one of these and one of these.
And we'll leave it as that. It's a very basic recipe. So now when you click into the recipe, you'll have your list of all the groceries. And down here, I'll just click on the new, so it automatically generates that. Your direction, serves, prep time, yada yada. If you ever want to change this template, all you do is click on this, next to new, click on that, and click edit. And now here you can see you're editing in a template. So then here, let's say we don't want ingredients anymore, click away, and now when you create new, you'll see that the ingredients doesn't come up. I'll just delete these two. Now, if you're still watching this, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. All right, if you're this far into the video, I'm going to show you something that the people who are downloading this template are not going to see. It's just a little thank you extra detail that you can do that no one else is seeing. Let's say for type 3, these are the meals that you care about, let's say calorie counting. You're trying to bulk, and for these meals, you really care about having sufficient amount of calories. We're going to click on this recipe, mushroom pasta, and we're going to add another property. And this property will be calories. So we'll add the calories here. So then for this category of type 3, where you care about calorie counting, what we're going to want to do is click on these three dots, go down to properties, click on the eyeball for calories, and now you can see the calories here. So this is a really cool way of making sure you're only seeing calories on this specific category here. So as you can see on these categories here, you can't see the calories. It's only visible on this type 3. Now what I'm going to do is delete this property, as this is a little thank you for getting this far into the video. All right, we've covered meal planning. We've covered recipes. We've covered groceries. Now household items is the last thing on our list. All we want is a new database, table view, household, toilet paper, Bing, free Notion templates. And then we're doing the same system that we did for up here. So we're going to add property, add a checkbox, buy, make this smaller, drag this here, right click, delete, rename table, household, click on these three dots, layout. I'm just going to hide the database title, duplicate, shopping list, filter, add advanced filter, where buy is checked. So right now there's nothing checked in here. Household, just click in these things. Unless you have a billion different types of household items, I don't see a point of having a database like this. I'm just keeping it very simple. So you might have 10 to 20 to 30 items here. Scroll down, tick them in, and you'll see them in the shopping list. Now you want this shopping list to also appear on this shopping list page, because this is the page you'll be opening when you walk into the store. We'll go here, /database, table view. Then we're going to select the data source. We're going to do household. If that doesn't come up, then just search for it. And we're going to copy the existing view of shopping list. Now, as you can see, close that. we have that right there. Now, a quick tip, what you can do in Android and iPhone is actually make this shopping page into an app icon on your phone. So then when you walk into the store, you just click on this app icon and you open up your shopping cart. It just saves you a few minutes every time you walk into a shop. Instead of having to navigate to find this page, you already have the app icon right there on your phone. So, as mentioned, when you click on pasta, you can see creamy pasta. If you have multiple recipes with that ingredient, it will look like this. So for mushroom pasta, let's add pasta. And now when you click on pasta, you can see both of them.
What is your spaghetti policy here?
So if you go into the kitchen and you think, I want to make something with pasta, you click on this and you can see every single recipe that you have that contains pasta.
I hope you like spaghetti.
Alright, now we've created the perfect meal planner, groceries, and recipes page. Super easy to use, everything connects well together. Thanks so much for watching, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next week.